Hi, I'm Lane Atkins. This is my wife, Kathy. We are the owners of Cafecito. Cafecito we opened on Labor Day, been open for a couple of months and have had good response. We're happy to say that we're getting good reviews for the food and
coffee.
The coffee and the experience here. We come here from Miami. When we came to Charleston about 4 years ago, one of the things that we missed was Cuban coffee and a good Cuban sandwich, which we were accustomed to in Miami. So
really, pretty much anywhere. I mean, you could get that anywhere. You could get good Cuban coffee at a gas station, so it really didn't matter. But that was one of the things that we missed from our hometown when we came here.
We were actually walking down King Street one day with our son, as we were tourists at the time, as we had just moved here and didn't know a whole lot about the area, but he had been visiting some of the nightclubs in the area, so he was a little more familiar than we were. But he said, "Dad, there's nowhere to get a sandwich. There are a lot of fine restaurants, very expensive restaurants. If you got a reservation, you can get in and you can spend $100, but there wasn't anywhere to get a sandwich."
Exactly.
There are other coffee shops, but not Cuban coffee. Cuban coffee, we talked to several local roasters when we started thinking about starting this business, and found that they really didn't know what Cuban coffee was. We ended up importing our coffee from Miami and have now introduced it to a lot of people, and it's getting pretty good reviews. When we came here, we were looking for a business to start, and it wasn't necessarily going to be a restaurant. We did look at a couple of opportunities that were possible. One was a coffee shop, one was a sandwich shop.
One was French, so it was just something a little different.
And then we said, but what if? What if it were Cuban?
The things that we miss from our hometown. We love Charleston, but they didn't have that here. So we're like, let's.
Kathy's a great cook, and she learned from her Cuban family how to make a lot of the Cuban recipes. Her grandmother's flan is exceptional. I learned to make coffee from her grandfather. So he's on the wall here. And
that's Arsenio.
Yeah. And
so that's kind of what inspired this. So when after we had done some research and we were looking at cafe type businesses, and then we just said those just didn't work out, and we couldn't seem to come to terms with it. So we were like, why don't we do something even a little crazier, something that not necessarily is in our wheelhouse, but something we're more familiar with and more comfortable with, something that we thought we could manage even though we were new to food and beverage. So we wanted to definitely have something small, but Cuban was very familiar to us being from Miami. This particular location is just under 1,000 square feet, which was even a little bigger than we thought we could handle, but it's actually been perfect, because it gave us a small dining area plus a kitchen that is completely open to our customers. And that was something that was really important to us. We had advisement to close in the kitchen. You need to have a front of the house, back of the house, and that just never, that didn't work for me, especially. I love to cook, I love to socialize, and when in Miami, a lot of these restaurants too, especially where they're making Cuban sandwiches, they're very social with their customers, and they're making a sandwich as you're talking to somebody, and that's exactly the vibe that we have here, which we love. So we've got our Cuban coffee, which is made in front of our customers. There's a little theater behind there because we're making our espumita, and so we're whipping sugar with our coffee, which is kind of fun. So our customers, we get to educate them on that. And then the Latinos that come in that already know what that is, they're so excited and so happy to see that because they know it's authentic. We also, with our open kitchen, they're able to watch us make their Cuban sandwiches. We've got 5 sandwiches on the menu. We even have 2 vegetarian sandwiches, which is not typical Cuban because a lot of Cubans don't eat a lot of vegetables. But it's something we wanted to have just so that we could appeal to everyone. And anyone could come in here and have a Cuban sandwich. But our vegetarians are made on Cuban bread. So we've got our coffee, we have sandwiches, we have our Cuban pastries and empanadas. And with our sandwiches, everything, they're made on authentic Cuban bread from Miami. So all of this is coming from Miami. It is authentic. which we did not realize how important that was going to be until all of these Latin customers started coming in and really putting the pressure on us, which was kind of fun, but a little scary at the time, but it was great because everything was authentic, so fortunately we passed the test.